we are going to go over warming up today. For anybody that has to leave, can't watch the whole thing, this will be uploaded into the free resources channel, so you can feel free to go back and watch it. This is the last week of the mechanics, so next week going forward, I'm not sure what we're going to cover. It might be agent related, map related, but Lone will definitely make a post about it, and then you guys will be able to attend that next week. But for anybody that does not know me, maybe your guys' first lesson in here, I'll let you guys read this page a little bit. I'm not going to read over it again because I've said this pretty much every single week. I guess the big things about me, though, is Val was my first PC game. I started in Silver, probably like most players, progressed up to Immortal. I peaked around top 150 Radiant, and I also competed in this game for over a year. So tell a lot of students and a lot of people that if you're willing to put this work in, you can definitely go to whatever rank you want to get to. But okay, let's go ahead and get into it. So if you guys have questions from... Yo, what up? So if you guys have questions from previous weeks and the stuff that we went over, feel free to ask questions. I have my Val open right now, so I can go over stuff in-game if you want to. We're not necessarily going to be going over the mechanics of stuff today, but if you have questions about just anything, jiggle peeking, crosshair placement, counter strafing, any of that stuff, I have the range open, so feel free to ask, and we'll hop in game and I'll show you guys. But for the most part, we're going to be talking about warming up, right? Why should we warm up as players? Simply put, it will set us up for success. And that's what we all want, right? We want to be consistent players and we want to have success. We want to rank up. At the core of this, we should be warming up to improve, right? Practice makes perfect. So when we warm up, I know there were some people in here that said that they've done limited warm-ups maybe. One person I remember said 3 to 4 minutes. It's definitely a little bit on the light side. I always recommend a little bit more time, and we'll go over that. But basically, warming up, guys, for anybody that doesn't currently do it, it's just going to help you be more consistent, ultimately win more gunfights. It's going to help you practice what you struggle with. Every player in here, including myself, is going to struggle with something. Maybe not one of these things I have listed, but there's generally going to be something that you're weak at, right? Your movement isn't good. Maybe your aim isn't good, right? Maybe our peeking, our first bullet accuracy, counter strafing, crosshair placement, something, right? We want to figure out what we struggle with, and we want to work on those things. Can't improve everything overnight, though. Avoiding injuries. This isn't huge, right? Maybe if you're a little bit older like me, though, 27 turning 28, warming up will help with that. Stretching, all those good things. Warming up is also going to help you get your mental ready to play ranked. As much as important as it is to improve your mechanics, you also need to have a good mental in order to win. So warming up the same way every single day before you play ranked is going to get you in the mentality that, okay, I'm about to queue comp right now. Having confidence. So this is the biggest thing that I see lower ELO players struggle with, and students that I work with. They don't have confidence in gunfights. They say, I don't have confidence in my aim. I don't have confidence in me getting the kill when I need to. And the big thing, right? Proper practice prevents poor performance. So if we're practicing properly, right, we're using aim trainers, we're using deathmatch, we're using the range to warm up, it's going to instill confidence in ourselves to win gunfights when we need to and have confidence when we peak. Reduce stress. Practicing in DM helps you get familiar with the in-game gunfights, which in turn will reduce stress. Deathmatch currently is the only thing that we have to practice in-game fighting scenarios, right? The range is great. I have my students use it. Aim trainers are great, right? I use aim trainers. Deathmatch currently is the only thing that we have to practice in-game gunfights, so we have to use that. Muscle memory. Valorant is a game of repetition. By practicing, we understand what will happen in pretty much any given scenario. It's a big reason why high-elo players are able to have success, right? And they typically have confidence and they kind of understand what's going to happen just from the muscle memory. And improving hand-eye coordination. This is not as important, but for new players though, new people to PC, regular and consistent practice is going to help you improve your hand-eye coordination. Let's see what we have in here. 28 is old. 28 is old on the internet. I guess I'm not technically old, but 28 on the internet is definitely old. First 40 bomb last week. Congrats. My opinion on aim trainers. Aim trainers are good. I see you have the Ascendant rank, so we're going to kind of talk about aim trainers here in a little bit as well. Gold 3 before last lesson, now I'm Plat 3. Thank you. Of course, bro. I'm glad that you're ranking up. Makes me feel good. Swift plays are also good. I've heard of people warming up using Swift play. I personally don't warm up playing Swift play just because, I don't know, people in Swift play weird. There's abilities in there. You can't buy whatever gun you want to warm up. Whereas Deathmatch, I can buy whatever gun that I want to warm up with. Bronze 3, Plat 1 in 1 month, a good pace. That's a perfect pace. You're literally like on the same pace as me. I started Silver, and probably after a month I was in Plat. All right, so warm-up length, right? I know I asked you guys how long you warm up for and kind of like the stuff you do when you warm up. Beginner, intermediate, and advanced. I wouldn't really say that this has like ranks tied to it, but for beginner, I would say anything around, I don't know, probably iron to silver, maybe iron to gold. And then intermediate, maybe plat to ascendant, I would say around this range. And then advanced, probably high ascendant, and then immortal and above. So for beginners, for the most part, we want to be spending 20 to 30 minutes warming up, mainly spent in the range and deathmatch. We don't really want to focus on aim trainers if you're a beginner. Anybody, I would say, below the rank of plat. There are some scenarios that I'm going to mention that you can do that are helpful, but for the most part, we just want to get comfortable with the basics, which are your movement keys, right, and mouse control and gun recoil. All those things have to be focused on in the range and DM. And then ultimately, we also just want to be playing the game. Do we need to use aim trainers in plat and above? I don't like them. They're so boring. I wouldn't say you need to use aim trainers. Once we get towards the aim trainer section, I'll kind of... or once we get to like my warm-up that I did when I was going from silver to radiant, you'll see kind of like what I did. And there's never like a black and white answer like, okay, you are plat, you have to do an aim trainer now. Intermediate, so this I would say is around the plat to ascendant range, right? 30 to 45 minutes. This is where we can start to mix in the aim trainers, but we still want to be doing the range and deathmatch. This is where we really want to focus on our weaknesses though, right? For a beginner, you're going to have a lot of stuff that you struggle with, so we just mainly want to focus on the basics. When you're in this intermediate range, you tend to have a good understanding of movement, aim, and just general mechanics, but there's going to be stuff that you're weak with. So we just want to focus on what you guys struggle with, whether that be first bullet accuracy, 2-bullet bursting plus strafing, maybe your clearing corners isn't great, maybe your tracking is bad, etc. And then for advanced, so this is going to be, I would say, like maybe ascendant, immortal players and above. 45 to 60 minutes. And don't say that we have to, this is not like the gold standard, right? It's not like if I'm ascendant, I have to do 45 to 60 minutes. This is just like a general thing that I've seen across my years of playing this game. Same thing with advanced, right? Mix of range, aim trainers, DM. So typically when you're up here a little bit higher, it's meant to maintain skill and improve areas you struggle with. That could also be your mechanics or other stuff, right? Communication, teamwork, even VOD reviewing yourself. And then also taking the time to watch pro matches back can also be very helpful for advanced players. It's one thing that extremely helped me when I was trying to rank up was not watching pro matches, but watching pro players stream. Let's look at some of this stuff right here. I'm global elite on CS, but plat 1 in Valorant. Should I try out intermediate? I mean, if you're global elite on CS, you have what it takes to be here. Like, you have the mechanics to be in a high rank in Valorant. You just need to understand, like, the game sense. Like, that's a big thing, right? You have the mechanics. You just need to understand how agents interact with each other. Okay, I have a question. I don't know why, but I went from Silver 3 to Diamond 3. Then I stopped playing, and now I start again, and I can't really get into the, like, kind of mood. Or, like, I somehow cannot play like last time again. Do you have any tips? So you went from Silver 3 to Diamond 3, and you stopped playing. All right, so first question is, how long did you stop playing? That's a big question, right? And then... when you started playing again, how long have you been playing? What to do with trash teams? Don't get caught up on if you get rolled, right? If you're losing a game 13-3, you're pretty much going to lose that game regardless, right? There's not much you can do about those games. That's like the 60-20-20 rule. For anybody in here that doesn't know the 60-20-20 rule, 20% of your games, insta losses, right? We've all had them. 0-13, 1-13, 2-13, 3-13. Nothing about it. You could have the best game of your life. You're still going to lose that game. 20% of your games go the opposite way, right? They're insta wins. You could go 0-15, but your team's still going to roll and win that game. 60% of the games, you're going to have... those are the games that you have actual impact, right? So what you do in a given round looms large in the actual game. So don't worry about, like, if you have a trash team, you know, just going to end up ultimately losing. Even though I'm gold, is it okay if I use aim labs? 100%. And like I said, we're going to go over aim trainers here in a little bit. Like okay, so you took an 8-month break and you're playing again roughly 3 weeks. I would say give it a little bit more time. I know I took a break last year, like 2 years ago, of about 10 days, and I came back and it took me like a week to get up to speed again. You just have to play a lot though. Like, if I were you, I would play deathmatch a lot. Play deathmatch and just get back in the right headspace. So remember, beginner, intermediate, advanced, these are just general guidelines of stuff that we should be doing. And we're going to kind of go over that right now, right? So this is the range work right here. So I'm going to click on this. So we have tracking. I have these under beginner and intermediate. Don't think that these are, okay, this is under beginner, I can only do this. This is under intermediate, I can only do this. Don't worry about that, right? We will, or you can also just like mix and match these, right? We don't have to like stick to one or the other. So tell me if you guys have audio. I'm going to pause it real quick and then let me know if you have audio. Yes. All right. Thank you. All right. So this first one is range tracking, right? Don't worry about range. I just couldn't change the title. But this is basically a tracking scenario. Right? This is something that I give my students to do in the like first few times that I meet with them, depending on their rank. That's why this is under beginner. I'll let it play out and then pause it and kind of talk about it. You guys can ask any questions. And even say if you've done stuff like this before in the range. Remember, this is beginner stuff. All right, so nothing crazy, right? I'm not even going to play it out because it's essentially just the same thing throughout. But this is tracking, right? Has anyone in here done any type of tracking like this or understand what this is or understand why it's important? Okay, you guys do it. Looks like some people do it. All right, so do you guys understand why tracking is important in this game? All right, a lot of people do this. This is good. This is good. So what do you think the reason why tracking is important? Any ideas? Hold on, let's bring this guy up to speak real quick. And should have brought you up. You should be able to come up and talk to if you want to. Alright, he's not coming up all good. Because of agents like Jet and Raze to counter it, counter strafe, someone swings, people strafe left and right. Okay, so those things are valid. And then another important thing with counter strafing is, tracking is crosshair placement, right? Because with the tracking that I'm doing here, I'm keeping my crosshair at head level, right? So you're practicing moving around in different positions while keeping your crosshair at head level. That's the reason why it's so important. In a game like Overwatch, right, tracking is obviously super important. In this game, tracking isn't as important to get kills, you know? But tracking is important to practice your crosshair placement and keeping it at head level. So that's why this is like a great warm-up routine for anybody in here that does it, continue to do it. For anybody that doesn't, maybe try and add it to your warm-up routine and see if you can have success with this. But it's very simple though, right? The idea is that we're just going into the range, practice bots on, crosshair on a bot's head, and we're moving left and right with our movement keys and trying to keep our crosshair on the head level as much as possible. This is like a core fundamental, guys. So for anybody that is a low rank, we should be doing this. Okay, so elevated range. Let it play out and then talk about it again after. Alright, so nothing crazy here. This is essentially just practice bots on, right? And we're standing on top of the ledge right in front of kind of like where that range area is, right? Right where you hit like the start or the practice button. You go on top there. And you also notice I'm not moving at all when I do this, right? The idea here is to just get a little bit of practice elevated and flicking the targets, right? Because we don't have a good practice scenario in this game, or we don't actually have it unless you go into like a custom game with friends, to where you can kind of practice like in elevation, you know? For the most part, everything's at head level. So here you're able to practice like slightly elevated, and you can like practice flicking the targets as well. It didn't freeze. I just paused it so I could talk about it. It's like the same thing over and over, so I don't want to just let it run. Micro adjustments. Yeah, this is like partially micro adjustments, and we'll also see that when I show what's it called? The floating targets on the outside in a second. So this one is good. I have beginner students do this as well. Like I said, people around the like first, like brand new to the game, all the way up to probably like gold or low plat as well. I do this to warm up. You do the same thing by getting on top of sage wall. Yep, right. As long as you're like getting elevated. I would say a sage wall is like relatively high though. Usually like your elevations aren't that drastic in this game. But yeah, sage wall does the same thing, right? Even you just want to have the bots in front of you though. You could like do it off to the side over here, but you don't want to really like shoot them in the head. So if you do the sage wall, just do it in front of the bots. You do it with jet knives, okay. All good. Bronze 1, I need a lot of help. Okay, I mean, you're at the perfect spot for it. Take a lot of this stuff that I've showed you in the beginner so far and do this in your warm-up, and I promise you that you will improve. I guarantee it, as long as you do it over like a long enough period of time. Now strafing. This is a really good warm-up. I'll let it play out. Let me go full screen. Go back to the beginning. All right, so in this warm-up here, the idea is to keep a bot in front of you, right? So you see how I have a bot very close to me when I'm doing this? And the idea is to strafe left and right and kill bots behind this one. So I'll let it play out a little bit more so we can see it. Right, so keeping the bot in front of me, strafing left and right, and like killing bots behind him. This one is not for beginners for sure. So the other reason you don't think it's for beginners is because I'm going at like a faster speed, right? If you're trying to do this warm-up, or any of the warm-ups that I've showed you for that, you should try and go at your speed, right? And we're also going to talk about that. You should never try and go at a speed that's too fast for you. If you do this warm-up that I'm showing you right now at a slow speed, and then like week after week, slowly progress the speed and go slightly faster, this will be good for you. Promise you. And then it ended, yeah. This will get posted in free resources channel in this Discord. So the reason this warm-up is good, guys, is because it's going to help us, again, keep our crosshair at head level. It's going to practice our strafing, and it's like close quarter fights, right? Because we have a bot in front of us, and we're strafing to the left and right, killing bots behind it. You're doing this at like the metal pillar. I have another one with that as well that we'll be able to see. Okay. So this one is good, guys. Remember, with the first 3 warm-ups that I showed you, though, don't try and go too fast. It's very important. Right, if you're a silver player, it's not going to look like how it looks right now. It's very normal for it to look a lot slower. So you go to the left, right, maybe you stop and then shoot. And then you go to the right, you stop, and then you shoot. We do not want to be going into speed too quick for us. Okay, so now we have the 2 bullet burst behind the metal bar, right? This is kind of what you were just talking about, I believe. Is there anybody in here that's done this before? Yep, I did, yes. Never, okay. Alright, nice. A lot of people in here doing it. It's good, it's good. Alright, so the idea behind this, every day. What's up, Guzman? What is up, my guy? It's easy from this angle. So the reason why this is important is because we're practicing our 2 bullet burst, right? What is that res? I play on 1680, 1050. So stretched. But the reason why this is important, you also notice how I'm shooting like 2 to 3 bullets, right? I'm practicing my 2 bullet burst. 2 to 3 bullet burst with my strafe. I'm not going for my first bullet accuracy here. I'm not just going for 1 taps, because typically when I'm doing these strafes, I tend to like be shooting my gun in 2 to 3 bullet bursts. So it's a perfect way to just practice using this metal beam right here, going on the left side and the right side. So that way you're actually practicing the strafes, going back and forth, right? And then we're out practicing 2 to 3 bullets at a time. And then even if you miss, you know, the key is when we miss, we're also strafing. We're not just sitting there trying to like correct. We just want to constantly practice our movement here. You did this from the banana dude from Hujin. I didn't even know he made a video on this. Crosshair code. Maybe I'll post it in there. We'll see. So yes, this is really this is a really good warm-up to add to your routine, guys. If you don't do it, or if you currently do it, keep doing it. This is really good. I have it on 50 bots right now. I personally have my students put on 100 bots and practice this. All right, so remember, this is practicing our 2-bullet burst behind the beam, also with like our counter strafes. This is an important one. I should have put this one in the beginner, but beginners, I think, have to focus on other stuff before they focus on this. So essentially what this is only peeking with our A and D key. What I have my students do when they do this is I have them bind their W key to pull out their knife, because you can have like double key binds in this game, right? So you would equip melee with your knife. And the reason is this is practice to only peek with your A and D key. So that way we're never peeking with W, and you'll kind of see what it looks like. And then another big thing is that we're using this wall right here to go behind cover, and then D key to peek out and shoot a bot, right? This is a really good warm-up. Now, I don't hit W here at all, but if I did hit W, it would pull my knife out. It's important that you guys have it bound to pull your knife out, so that way you have that, like that negative thing that happens when you do the wrong motion, right? You want to get punished for that, you know? You want to pull your knife out when we're peeking with W, so that way you know not to do it anymore. So the beginner should only do the first 3. I think it's important for beginners to do the first 3 drills, but if you feel comfortable with that stuff, like, feel free to add some of this other stuff as well. This is really important right here, guys. Peeking with A and D. This is essentially just peeking horizontally, right? This is like the way that you're peeking in this game. You're peeking horizontally. We're not peeking with our W key. Is there anybody in here that thinks that they struggle kind of like with peeking around corners with their W key? Yeah? Yeah, so if you struggle, like, try this. It's such an easy way to warm up. I promise you it'll help you get better. The key thing, though, guys, use this wall as cover, right? And then change your W key to pull out your knife, so that way we're practicing not doing that. The 3 drills for beginners are in here, but it will get posted in the free resources. You try to jump peek and get attacked. If you're thinking about peeking stuff, there's previous lessons on that, too. Here's another warm-up that you can do. I personally don't do this, and I haven't like recommended my students to do it or have them do it, but it's something that I know other people recommend this, so I put it in here. Essentially just practicing killing a bot and then transferring to another bot and trying to have spray control. Right, this isn't one that I actively do. And I haven't gave my students this, but I know it's one that other coaches have give to students, and I know it can also be helpful. Essentially, the goal is to just kill one bot, and then we're going to flick to another bot and practice like our recoil control pulling down and trying to kill this bot. It's good to like understand, I guess, like the spray control in this game, even though it's kind of random after 6 bullets. I won't be able to go over the other stuff again, maybe at the end, but I have to get through this other stuff first. Here's one thing that I don't see a lot of coaches talk about is the floating targets out here. I don't know how many people in here currently use the floating targets out in the range. I did for a long time when I was warming up. I always thought it was really good. It's like a mini aim trainer, right? And it's not necessarily like one thing that we have to do here, but kind of what you can see what this does. It allows me to work on my flicks and then micro adjustments. Valorant is a game of 2 flicks, right? A lot of the times you're going to be flicking to a target and then you have to micro adjust. You're not always going to be on that target. It's even why like low sensitivity is popular in this game, because it's easier to make those micro adjustments. If you're on high sensitivity and you're having like a rough day aim wise, it's going to be tougher for you to make those micro adjustments. Right, but you'll see, like you might not notice that, but you'll see like these very small motions, right? Let's see if I can go to slower speed. I cannot. But what I want you guys to see is when I flick to this right target, you see that I have to micro adjust, right? Pause it. So you see, right, you're practicing flicking and micro adjustments here. So these floating targets are good for that. And there's also a way for you to like go down here and practice different elevations too. So this is one of the warm-ups that I would do when I was going from... I didn't warm up a lot when I was in silver, but when I was in plat, this is definitely something that I did a lot in the range right here. Really good, and I think it's underutilized too. Would AIM be better? Is this better? I personally think this is better just because everything's in-game, at least for a lower ranked player. But yeah, the floating range targets are really good, guys. I think it's something that would be easy to incorporate into your warm-up, and I don't see any downside to it. Helps us work on our flicking and micro adjustments here. And the last thing is like jet knives, right? Kind of talked about earlier, like going up on this ledge right here to practice being elevated with targets. This is like a good way to also practice with jet knives. Even if you don't play jet, this is good to do, just to like get practice being like really elevated and hitting headshots. Right, I don't really play jet at all, but I still do this occasionally just to try and practice my crosshair control at a like crazy high elevated level. Can I 1v1 in deathmatch? No, probably not. I'm not good at the game anymore, you know? So yeah, floating jet knives, another good thing to do in the range. If I had to rank these guys in terms of like most important, it would be, at least for beginners, tracking. This is number one. I would rank this at the very top. Two bullet burst is also another one that's super important. And then range peaking with A and D. Those three things would be the bread and butter, guys. Are tracking, two bullet burst, and peaking with A and D. FPS does help with your rank to a degree. If you have like 40 FPS, it's going to be tough to win. You still can though, 100%. So deathmatch. For beginners in DM, we want to focus on peaking with A and D, right? So this is all relatively new people, low ranks, getting comfortable with movement keys, mouse control, crosshair placement. This is like the core concept of the game, right? If you want to get good at this game, you have to be able to shoot back. You have to improve your mechanics. These are the main things we need to focus on for beginners. Ghost only deathmatch, right? Ghost only deathmatch is super good for practicing your first bullet accuracy and also your movement. Right, Ghost only DM like really emphasizes first bullet accuracy, guys. It's something that helped me big time. Guardian also works, but Ghost only is like big time because it's very heavy on your movement, and in this game, movement is massive. FPS 240 FPS is perfect. 90 is doable, not like ideal though. So yeah, Ghost only DM is extremely helpful with your movement and first bullet accuracy. The first bullet in this game matters more than like any game. I mean CS obviously, but for the most part, first bullet accuracy in this game is super important. So that's why the Ghost drastically helped me. And then this is a big thing. I don't see players do this, but I recommend it to my students. Is deathmatch practicing kind of like your evasiveness. So I'm gonna let this play out. This is like a minute long, and kind of what you'll see here. The whole idea behind this, guys, is I want you to realize how long you have to kill somebody in a gunfight, right? So many times when I VOD review students, they'll see somebody and instantly shoot, right? It's kind of like the worst thing you can do. You want to get in the habit of aiming before you shoot. And then by doing deathmatch like this and practicing like this, you're understanding that you have longer to live in your gunfights. And in turn, you're not rushing as much, so you're actually aiming before you shoot. So I'm going to go ahead and play this out. I believe it's around a minute long, so we'll just watch this. Let me know if you guys have questions on this because it's important. And just notice how long I'm staying alive in gunfights. And this guy just starts to troll a little bit. And you're gonna die in these gunfights too, guys. Don't really worry about that. The whole point is just to practice and understand how long you can stay alive in gunfights. Look, you see how easy it is for people to just completely whiff on you. The guy legit just gave up in the gunfight. Alright, so in this, it was like a minute long, right? It was a couple clips from a DM. There was only one deathmatch. Let's see if there's any questions in here. 112 ping is really high. 60 to 80 ping can affect your movement. It doesn't really affect your movement, but it affects like when people see you on their screen and when you see them. Is Ghost more reliant on movement than a Guardian? Because I normally run and gun with Ghost. I personally think the Ghost is a bit more reliant on... Nah, I would say the Guardian actually is. It just depends, though. Some people spam the Ghost. I tend to tap the Ghost, because when you spam the Ghost, it's not as accurate, especially far away. What's up, Lee? A lot of this is just warming up, Lee. Deathmatch, range, aim trainers. Sheriff only tracking to help me so much. Yep, Sheriff only is another good one to do that I had down here at the bottom. Enemies in my DM don't do that. See, you say that, right? And like I said, you will die plenty of times, but the whole idea of this is to just understand how long you're able to stay alive in these gunfights. See, you guys are saying same. I guarantee you guys, right? When you guys get done with this lesson, go into a deathmatch and try this, right? Try to just stay alive in the gunfight, okay? Just practice strafing left and right. Don't shoot the enemy and see how long you can stay alive. You're never going to stay alive for like 10 to 15 seconds, right? But you're going to stay alive for 3, 4, 5 seconds, right? And staying alive that long gives you plenty of time to get the kills. When should you crouch? Crouching is situational, and it just depends, right? If you're about to get peeked by 4 people, you probably don't want to crouch because you're committed to that fight. Good way to think about crouching. When you crouch, you're committed to that fight, so be sure that you're going to get the kill. Tapping Ghost is the best. Agreed. My mental is a bit shit on DM, as I believe indicates my mechanic performance. Don't stress deathmatch. There's so many factors that go into deathmatch. Deathmatch in this game isn't great, but it's the only way we have to practice. And by mixing it up and doing stuff like this, you put less pressure on yourself to win the deathmatch, and like less pressure on your mechanics, right? Like I said, I want you guys to do stuff like this and practice your evasiveness to realize that you have way longer to kill people than you think. I'm telling you, one of the biggest things that I see people struggle with is when they see somebody, they instantly try and hit a crazy flick, or they instantly shoot. Practice aiming before you shoot, guys, and then doing this right here, this like warm up. This will help you with it, I promise you. Just practicing staying alive, you know, just being like a little fly on the wall, right? Like bobbing and weave back and forth, you know. This guy gave up because of how annoyed he got. Crouching does help. It's situational. I can't say like when you can for sure get the kill because it is like situational, but crouching has its moments where it's good to do. We'll talk about the jiggle peak stuff in a minute. I saw your question, don't worry. This one's really good though, guys. In terms of like this deathmatch stuff right here, try the Ghost only or the Guardian. I like low-key challenge you guys to do that after this, right? So after this lesson's over, practice Ghost only DM, right? And then practice a DM by being evasive, just like what I just showed you by trying to make the enemy miss. Is it more important to learn like setups and lineups or aim? 100% more important to learn mechanics. And then no audio, sheriff only. This is currently what I do right now. My first deathmatch that I do is no audio, sheriff only, practicing my first bullet accuracy, and then the Guardian also works. I do no audio, guys, so that way I am fully ready for everything, right? I don't want to be like pre-aiming corners. I don't want to be sound whoring, anything like that. I want to be prepared for everything and practice keeping my crosshair at head level all the way across the map. All right, so aim trainers, right? This is going to be the best scenario for beginners. So if you're a beginner and you want to get into aim training, on Aim Labs Kovacs, this is the scenario that I recommend. This is kind of like the bread and butter, like the gold standard. Right, 1 wall, 6 targets. I'm going way slower here than I normally would. And the reason why I went slow here is because I want you to understand, if you're new to aim training and doing 1 wall, 6 targets, you should practice your straight lines, right? So you notice how I'm like really trying to have my lines be as straight as possible. I'm not trying to over flick and do anything crazy. In the beginning, guys, when we're doing scenarios like this, we want to practice accuracy over speed, right? So we just really want to focus on our straight lines. We don't want to do anything crazy. And then as we get more comfortable, we can start to up the speed a little bit. But for the most part, we want to practice our straight lines here. How many DMs should you play, and can you warm up by just doing death matches? So I currently, well, I'll go over what I currently do, so that way you can get an idea, right? And even what I did when I was going from silver to radiant and competing as well. Yeah, I'm going to share the Inlabs playlist that I currently do. I don't have a playlist that's made for like lower ranked players, but there's one that's out there right now. It's pretty good. It's actually the one that I do, so I'll show you. Key thing, guys, for anybody in here that does aim train, just make sure you guys use caution with it. There's literally a million scenarios out there that you can do. Make sure you do research on the stuff that you struggle with before you just like blindly go on there and just pick something random and start practicing. There's plenty of stuff on YouTube or Reddit, Google, wherever, that you can just find stuff that is going to help you. This right here is the ramp warm-up by Minigod. This is currently what I've been doing for... So let's see, where's it at? I will actually just link this in the chat for you guys. So copy link, and I'll put this in here. And you guys are able to go here and do this. So if you go to the download, it goes directly to your aim labs. This is a very good routine, right? It takes roughly, I would say, 15 to 20 minutes, and it's meant to slowly warm you up from easy scenario to end scenario. And this is, like I said, this is one that I currently do. Minigod is like a really respected aim trainer. So I have another warm-up by him. If anybody's interested, I could also copy and paste that one in here. But for the meantime, I'll just put that one in there. Like I said, this is his newest one that he just put out. And when I was competing, the routine that I use the most, for anybody that doesn't know, like a player's name's Alexander. He is an insane aimer, right? Probably one of the best in like the Valve community. His routine is what I use when I was competing. You know, Alexander, he's insane. Yeah, he has insane aim. He has really good routines on Kovacs. I don't know if he has it on Aim Labs, but his is on Kovacs. You could look up his routine, though, on... Yeah, his aim is so clean. It's not crazy flicks, right? His aim is literally just smooth, is how I would describe it. That's why I liked it, because I want smooth aim. Okay, and so this is my warm-up through the years, right? So this is when I want you guys to, like, ask questions if you have them. So when I went basically from Silver to Immortal, in the very beginning, right? So when I first started playing this game, I did not warm up a lot. I basically just played ranked to get better. Around Plat is when I started to warm up in the range and DM. That's when I would do it like fairly consistent. The big thing that I did in the range was 25 medium bots 3 times. So I would have to do it 3 times through. And if I got under 25, I would restart from 0. So if I made it to the third round of medium bots and I got 24, right? 24 out of 30 or whatever, I would restart at 0 and then I'd have to do it 3 times through again. It's something that made me, like, held myself accountable, and it gave me, like, a goal to work through on the DM, or the range, sorry. And then I also used the floating targets that we did earlier. That's also what I did. So mainly medium bots and the floating targets. I dabbled a bit with aim trainers, mainly at aim lab scenarios. I did like the main stuff that people did, like grid shot, right? I did grid shot thinking it was actually going to help me. Grid shot, the only thing it's good for is helping warm up your arm. And then, yeah, I would do about 30-ish minutes a day of practice before going to play comp. That's when I got up to around Plat, right? So Plat, Diamond, Low Immortal, around 30-ish minutes of practice. In the beginning, right, when I was Silver, I mainly just played the game. And then when I was competing, right? So this is probably when I was, like, at my peak in terms of, like, playing-wise and warm-up-wise. Roughly 45 minutes in the range, DM, and aim trainers before ranked, okay? So this is before ranked. After practice, I would spend roughly an hour with an aim routine, usually the Alexander one or Aim Labs. And then after the aim routine, I would hop back on the game for 2 to 3 death matches, and then I would go to sleep. At least for me, I know my old teammate Dopai, for any of you that, like, know him, he's another coach in the community. I was teammates with him. He also, like, just recommended doing, like, your aim routines at night. It has something to do with your motor function and just the way that you absorb information overnight. On match days, right? So this is not ranked. This is when I was, like, actually playing matches. Just do a small aim routine. It would usually be about 30 minutes, and then 2 death matches before. I would never do full aim routines on match days or before playing comp. If you guys are going to play, like, long hours of ranked, or if you guys have, like, collegiate matches or anything like that, I would never do full aim routines before, because you don't want to burn yourself out. And then currently right now, right? So I'm at like 600 RR right now, which is top 1000. It's just outside of Radiant right now. So currently what I do is roughly 30 to 45 minutes of DM or aim trainers. I don't do aim routines before I go to sleep at night anymore, just because I don't have an emphasis on improving anymore. I'm not trying to compete, stuff like that. So, like, pretty much the reason why I warm up currently is to just, like, keep my same skill level. My warm-up mainly consists of aim labs. It's literally the scenario that I showed you guys, the mini god ramp warm-up. And then 2 to 3 death matches before I play comp. One of my death matches is no audio sheriff that I talked about, and then the other 2 are just regular with rifle. And then less practice time, I have like decent skill level right now, and like I said, less emphasis on improving and competing, and also I coach, so I just generally have less time. And then main reason why I still practice like this is just so I can keep my skill levels where they are. Is there videos of you or matches of you that you post on YouTube when you're competing? I currently don't have anything right now, but I have my old hard or SSD of like all my old like matches and scrims that I just need to go through one day and like go through and edit them and do stuff like that. It's just gonna take a long time. That's kind of why I'm ignoring doing it. But yeah, I have a bunch of footage of when I was competing that I need to just go through so that way I can have examples of that stuff. So yeah, this is kind of just what it looked like throughout the years, right? There's no like secret sauce to like going from silver to immortal. This is essentially what I did, right? Like I said in the beginning, no warm-up guys. I just mainly played ranked to get better, get more reps, understand what worked, what didn't work. And then around plat is when I started to do the range and DM way more consistent. And then dabbled a bit with aim trainers. What's a good progression through the ranks? Like, how quickly should you rank? I think everybody's on their own, their own like journey with their rank, right? For me, it took me 7 months to go from silver to immortal. So it just depends, right? There's going to be people that are able to go from gold to ascendant in a month and a half, right? There's going to be people that are able to go from silver to radiant, right? There's a person that's competing on a T1. I think it's like a Korean team. He actually was from NA, right? His name was Ban. And he's crazy, right? He went from silver to radiant. Root went from iron to radiant in 74 hours. Yeah, but you're already thinking of a radiant level player. I mean, I know you're memeing, but yeah. Have I ever been hard stuck? No, I don't think so. I mean, I feel like hard stuck is really just like a mindset, right? Because like in order to be hard stuck, you have to really not like be playing the game enough. I feel like if you're playing the game enough and you're actually like practicing and you're putting in the time to improve, you guys are going to get better, right? Because like if we go back and look at my tracker, right, from back in the day, right, so if we go back and look, I was never really like stuck because I was putting in the work to improve. So right, this is the very first time I played Gold 1. And then if we go and look, 325 matches, we made it up to Plat. And then the next one should be Diamond, I think. Yeah, Diamond 3, 403 matches, right? So it's been slow and steady progression, but I'm also playing a lot, right, guys? And the next one should be Immortal. Yeah, Immortal, 242 matches. What agents were I playing? Let's see. Maybe let's look at this, 403. I played a lot of Omen, 182 matches, and a lot of Sova. Those are like my main agents that I played when I was ranking up. I've been playing the game like 1 year and 3 months, and I'm like Plat 2. You got to play a lot of games, it'll pay off. I mean, it just depends, right, guys? If you're putting in the work, it'll 100%, and you guys are all here putting in the work, so I think it will. Because I guarantee if we look at your trackers, if I pull up anybody's tracker, right? If I went from, so what is this, 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x. Across 4x right here, how many games was this? Was this around 1,000, right? 242, 403, 325. That's literally around 1,000, right? This is only 18, I know. But it's around 1,000, right? And then if I go and look at your guys and I look at 4 different acts, I guarantee you probably won't even have what I would have in 1 act, right? Where was my most? Was it right here? 403? If I go and look at 4 of your guys' acts, right, I guarantee I won't find 403 matches combined. And that's not to say that we need to spam queue like I did in order to get better, but this is what I wanted to do to improve, right? I didn't have coaching, right? I never had anybody on like Medify. I never had high elo friends to help me, you know? It was pretty much all on me to get better. This was the way that I was able to get better. I played the game a lot. I understood what didn't work. I understood what did work. And then I was able to, through trial and error, just improve. You're right, my highest act is like 70 matches. And yeah, it's completely fine, right? Like I said, we don't have to be playing 400 matches in an act to get better. but it's what worked for me, you know? So yeah, I'm curious, right? So you guys in chat right now, what is your guys' most matches that you have played in an act that you think? For anybody that's in here, type it out, I want to say. What's my question? How many matches how many matches that you have played in one act, right? You can just do this one for an example if you want. Like this act for me, I have 171 games. You have 75 hours. Okay, 75 is pretty good. 75 is probably what, like 150 matches? Wait, you only have 75. Wait, you have 28 hours this act, Lee? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, see, that's just not enough, Lee. If you're gaming more, like the way that you were playing in those scrims the other day too, if you're gaming more, Lee, you're gonna rank up. Yeah, you just don't have enough games in, Lee. Like, look at that. That's across 3, bro. There's no way. If you played more, I guarantee you. Guzman, you have 262. 262 this act? Holy, you've been grinding. 354 this game's. 196. And like I said, guys, just keep... This isn't like a... black and white, like I have to play more to get better, right? No, not this act. Oh, you're just saying 262 in total? Starting to see it makes sense. 201. And right, some of these players that are saying this are generally a little bit higher, right? 196, Ascendant, 201, Plat, stuff like this, right? There's people in here, 189, 130. And for you guys that are typing these numbers, is this across 3 acts or is this just this act? I was curious like this act, guys. Yeah, Lee, you're definitely getting better, bro. You're just not playing enough, you know? Like across all those acts, I have all that in one game, you know? Total, you have 2,000, 201 matches, 1 act. And then the key thing as well, guys, when you're getting all these games played in, you need to understand what's working and what's not working. So if you guys have all these games played, you need to avoid being in a scenario where you're filling, right? So let's see if I can go back here, 325, right? I have majority of my games that are on Phoenix, right? Or sorry, Omen. I don't know why I said Phoenix. But you can see, like, a lot of my games are on Omen, right? I'm not playing like a bunch of different agents and going all over the place. I'm playing like one character. I'm understanding how to play the character. And when you learn how to play one character, it's going to apply to others. Except like Reyna, right? Reyna's like one character that nothing really applies. Omen and Phoenix main. I mean, if you look at my all acts and all agents, it's definitely Omen and Sova who I played the most. Sova's actually the most. Mainly controller though, right? Like you see guys, you see how I picked like a role and I pretty much like stuck with it, but also Sova. I love my Sova. Right? You see how like condensed this is up here on the controllers? Like I have some Sentinel games, but you guys see this though? It's very important to try and stick with a role, guys. You should not be in a rank like Plat, Gold, even Diamond to a degree, right? And trying to fill and play like 40 or 10 different agents to make your team's comp better. This act, I'm immortal actually, but Discord reading Ascendant. Yeah, see it? Nice. Yeah, look, 109 hours, 94 wins. You're playing a lot, right? You're playing a lot. Do you have any tips for playing Viper? I do have a lot of tips for playing Viper, but I won't be able to go over all that today. Hopefully, we're going to do more of these lessons. Maybe we'll do like a Viper lesson. Even though maybe a lot of people won't like it, but if we do, I'll make sure to teach a lesson. I only play Fade, Breach, and KO to keep it simple. That's perfect, right? You only play in a few agents to keep it simple. Like I'm telling you guys, this should be like the example for you, right? I started in Silver, 0 experience with a mouse or a keyboard, and I'm showing you the blueprint to do it, right? Play a bunch of games, practice, stick to a certain type of agent or a role, right? I don't only have to be an Omen one trick, but I'm playing different controllers as well, right? One tricking is okay. I prefer to play a certain role though, right? So I prefer to be good with the controllers, you know? You can see I have like 400 more games on Omen, so I guess you could technically say maybe I'm an Omen one trick and like a Sova one trick. But yeah. I think it's better to be like very comfortable on one agent as opposed to uncomfortable and filling on 6 agents. If I only play what agent, what if someone else insta-locks it? Dodge. JK. That's why like I learned a different agent, right? Because it was kind of unlikely that Omen would get taken, but in the case that Omen did get took, I could play Sova. So that's why I like to play two different roles, right? Controller and initiator. I had two roles that I was very comfortable on. But yeah, get your questions in, guys, before we have to end. So I'll show this before I go back to like the tracker, and we can talk more about that. Just show you guys a little bit about IRP for anybody who's... There's actually a couple IRP students in here, and for anybody that's like interested in what IRP is, I know you guys are in the KTC Discord because of Konpeki, maybe a YouTube video that you saw. Basically, what IRP consists of, though, is weekly coaching classes with Konpeki and other coaches. It's going to have agent-specific and map-specific master classes. A lot of our coaches have VCT experience, including myself. There's going to be scrims that go on during the weekend with students and coaches. There's one-on-one coaching sessions. These are your VOD reviews. You get lifetime access to the lessons, to the community, and the coaches. And then the program is typically going to be like catered towards you in your one-on-one sessions. Valorant, guys, is a great time. I don't know like everybody's age or what you guys are doing like school-wise or whatnot, but Valorant is giving a lot of scholarships to collegiate people, right? A lot of people are getting full ride scholarships to college. If I was a bit younger when Val came out, I 100% would have been able to get a full ride to go to school somewhere and play this game. And I'm not even like an amazing player, right? But I'm good enough to where I could have been on a college team, like a top college team, and get like a full ride for it. So like I said, if you're like in the boat of thinking of going to school and your school has like a college team, IRP definitely helps with that. Coaching in general helps with that. And how do you get a scholarship? You just have to look around and see what schools offer them. Right now I can think of like, I know like 15 schools that you can get scholarships. Not completely full rides, but there's at least like 15 that I know of. Thank you, Coach, but I gotta go. Okay, have a good night. Thank you for coming out. Last time you told me to stick to 2 agents. I started doing that from last time. How's that work for you? Always good, guys, to stick to a few agents. 2 in particular, at least for me. Learning lineups, I don't think it's worth the time. You saw how many hours I have on Sova. I barely use lineups on that character. And I have like a 50% win rate with over 1,000 matches. Lineups will help, but I don't think they'll be the reason why you win or lose. When using movement to fix your crosshair rather than raw aim, how do you keep yourself from accidentally overexposing yourself to different angles? Start with a question. When using movement to fix your crosshair rather than raw aim, how do you keep yourself? That is about, I guess, like game sense warden and understanding what you're going to be exposed to when you use your movement key, right? To like use your movement key to fix your crosshair. Knowing like what your teammates smoked off, maybe what your teammates holding, where like an enemy was last seen. There's a lot that goes into that. And sometimes you're just going to overexpose yourself, right? You're basically trying to put the gunfight back in your favor by using your movement keys to keep yourself alive. And sometimes you're just going to die. Like it's just like a risk, a part of it. Do you like show videos of you playing? No, so with like the IRP stuff, it's lessons like we're doing today. I would say they're a bit more in-depth though. They go over agents, they go over maps, they go over IGLing, stuff like that. And then on the weekends, we tend to do scrims, and then we have drills kind of like catered to improve in certain scenarios. Do you think teammates matter while climbing? No, I don't think so. I think you're going to lose games because of your teammates. I think you're going to win games because of your teammates. But I don't think they matter in the grand scheme of things. And the reason why I don't think they matter is because if you play enough games, it just doesn't matter, right? If you play, let's say you play 5 games in a week, right? And one of those games you had a smurf. Obviously, it's going to matter because you're only playing 5 games. If you're going to play kind of how I was, maybe playing, let's say, 40 games a week, right? If you play 40 games a week and you get 1 smurf game, does that 1 smurf game matter? No, it doesn't matter at all. Or if you get like two games of your teammates playing really poor, that doesn't matter either. Where do we go to learn more about the coaching and other? Okay, so if you guys want to learn about it, right here, DM this account. Konpeki will get back to you guys if you're interested, and he can like talk to you about it. This account right here, so it's Konpeki with an underscore. How much does coaching actually cost? You have to talk to Konpeki about it because I don't really handle that stuff. I'm just like the head coach in the course. He's kind of like the owner though, right? So it's his thing. So when you DM him and you guys are able to talk about it, I'm sure he'll tell you there. Thank you, of course. So yeah, guys, I have to get ready and dip. I actually have a coaching session with D. Guzman, who's in here. He is inside of IRP. My guy is a demon on the controllers. But do you guys have questions before we get out of here, though? Anything about any of this stuff, right? Like I said, guys, please do some of the stuff that we talked about in the warm-up. It's going to get posted in the free resources for anybody that wants to go back and rewatch. And then you'll be able to see the actual warm-ups that I did in there. So that way you can make sure that you're doing them right. And also, like, a few things to take away, guys. Make sure we're playing the game. Make sure we're sticking to a certain agent or a certain role, right? We're not trying to fill. Those are the big things. Bye, I love you. Oh, thank you. I love you too. What tips can you give me grinding to Radiant, like little tips? All right, so you're 138 RR right now, 113. Your stats are insane right now. 390 matches, 113 win rate, 53%. I can't see what agent you play though. What agent do you play? Who is that? Overdose? Yeah, Overdose. What agent do you play? Jet? Without actually doing a VOD review with you or looking at anything, what you want to make sure, Overdose, what you're doing is look at your first bloods. You have really good stats, but if you're playing Jet, your first bloods need to be good. You need to be looking for first engagements and also use the op. If I were you, I would abuse the op. The op is the easiest way to rank up in this game once you get up into like higher elo. If you abuse it on attack and on defense, I guarantee you'll win more games. Like I said, I can't really like see the whole story with your stats, but check to see what your first bloods are like. I'm sure you can check that just by like actually going to look at the games. If you're dropping like 25 kills a game and you're averaging like 1 first blood, that's not great. It's almost like you're kind of baiting your team too much. But yeah, look at your first bloods. Make sure you're looking for the first engagements. You're in Immortal 2 right now, so your teammates should have a better understanding of what they're doing. And you can also ask your teammates for util, right? Yeah, your headshot percentage is insane. It's way higher than mine. So yeah, ask teammates for util as well. It's a big thing. Get your initiators and make the initiators an extension of you. Aim Labs map that we use for warm-up. Scroll up in this chat right here and look at the Mini God aim routine and then hit download and it'll go to automatically to your Aim Labs. And then go to your playlist and look at Valorant ramp warm-up and you'll see it in there. For Barry. Or if you're looking for the beginner one, it was just 1 wall, 6 targets. That's the beginner one, 1 wall, 6 targets. Sentinel, second agent I play. Yeah, you have really good stats, Overdose. I would just make sure, like I said, op more. Use your teammates initiator util a little bit more if you have teammates that are listening and helping. And then also, what was the third thing I said? Did I say op more? Op more. Oh, and look at your first bloods. Look at your first bloods. Try to get more first engagements. All right, guys. It's 9:01. I believe this is going to be the last one on the mechanics and kind of like the warm-up and pretty much just everything like related to mechanics, mentality that we're going to do for a little bit. I believe next week it's going to be either on an agent or maybe a map. I'm not sure if I'm going to be teaching it. Might be another coach inside of IRP. But regardless, it should be at the same time, 8 p.m., run an hour long. And yeah, just make sure you guys show up. It's always going to be good info, right? It's free info from Radiant level coaches with like VCT experience. So it's never going to be bad stuff, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the last like 5 weeks. And yeah, they'll definitely have KJ stuff. You know, we have a KJ main from the EU that's insane. Or a Sentinel main at least. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed over like the past like 5 weeks. If you guys want to see any of the stuff from the mechanics related stuff, it will be in free resources. When is that? I don't know if it's going to be like KJ stuff like next week, but it's going to be like agent related stuff going forward. All right, guys, I'm going to end the stage. So thank you guys again. Lesson's going to get posted in free resources. If you have questions, feel free to like DM me on Discord, right? Might take me like a day or two to get to the message, but I'll definitely get to it if I notice you guys, like if I remember the name from in here. How much is coaching? DM this account right here, Kenpeki _ and they'll get back to you guys. Yes, Kenpeki _ See you, thanks. You're Demon 1. Low-key are Demon 1 with that headshot percentage. All right, guys, I'm ending. I'll see everybody next time. Peace, peace, peace. Have a good night, everybody.